Tenzin Dorjee
Let me remind all of ourselves to cultivate the bodhicitta motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the sake of liberating infinite, kind, mother sentient beings. With that kind of altruistic motivation, that we should all participate in this teaching. We have gathered here today, as we always do on Sundays and other teachings, to engage in spiritual teaching, Dharma teaching, believing that it will help us to fulfill what we really would like to accomplish as our goal. So in a sense that engaging in Dharma is also to ultimately benefit ourselves. But as a part of that, what we also think about is, we try to seek a spiritual goal that involves cherishing others more than self. So when we learn to cherish others more than self and fulfill that goal, we are also benefiting the self, as well. So when we look at bodhisattvas, how do they approach their spirituality or the path, if you ask? They see others as more important than themselves. In other words, they place others before the self, and they dedicate themselves for the benefit of others.
So that they and they have, dedicated themselves for the cause of others, believing that if others are happy, then they themselves will be happy as well. If others are suffering,
then they will suffer too. So with that kind of belief that their happiness and suffering are very much connected to the happiness of suffering of others, so then they have decided to work for others' happiness, and by doing that, they're able to work for their own happiness.
Rangi pump re chimsang de debu shona ran debu yungare ran changba debu she chendal debu mabche ran changba debu ye khawres daga na yi ge ne ta longbe na le longba shidal ma tu da name la so de pe dukcha khibu ji na ran debu de shibu de khira khawres ta longba pe lulu ji shibu de hidi she daga na yi ge kani na tunjin da chama ya bu ji ye bi na ta ti khyo la ta ran debu chag do ste. And if
we pay attention to, the attitudes that we can witness within a family or in a society we live in or a country we live in, and we will be able to understand Bodhisattva's way of thinking. For example, that if the whole family is doing really well, then everybody in the family, is benefited by that. On the other hand, if just one member of a family is doing well, but all others are really in distress, then that really somehow affects everybody. And as a matter of fact, how could one person be really happy when the whole family is going through hard times? Or we look at a larger picture that when the whole society of the country we live in is at war, or is in has some kind of epidemic that we're dealing with, or some kind of economic disasters and so forth, then how could individuals living in the country or the society be at peace or happy? On the other hand, when the country we live in is at peace, prosperity, and harmony, and everything is going well, then I think everybody in the country is really affected by that. See? So that's the understanding of Bodhisattvas, that if everybody else is happy, then only then they could be happy. But if everybody is suffering, they can't be really happy. They alone can't be happy.
No, that tendega Maranzo type P tendek ton sound of Tambina, ane rang ye den around this yet, ye do around do yet, Pendus Gomba Janjisavan Gomba yet, and Tata Yungundo was.
So if we consider these examples and many others, similar to that, then I think we can start to appreciate and understand Bodhisattva's way of thinking, which is that if others are happy, then they can be happy. If others are suffering, then they alone cannot be happy. So they also suffer too. So we are able to really have a better grasp of this Bodhisattva's way of thinking.
That so as
Dharma practitioners or spiritual practitioners, we have to learn to regard others as more important than ourselves.
That the country is na Ranta Yin is na Senki Yin Dunghe Tamshili training, the water then be tabla, and then it's only some of those huge category.
So how can we do that? Is we need to train our mind and develop the sense of responsibility and determination that in order to help other sentient beings to be free from suffering, I'm going to bear the difficulties and challenges. So we need to develop that sense of responsibility and determination to help others to be free from suffering.
Kadampa, any Kadam Comandancy, and that the Hilar Tambasun, any Gomba Giguar. Ketan, J.K. Yen, Berchonga Rankin, and Skananguris.
Great Kadampa Geshes of the masters they have always trained themselves in that kind of a thinking. For example, a great Kadampa Geshe by the name of Geshe Tsultim Gyeltsen, in his 8 verses Lodging on Mind Training, states clearly, as Geshe quoted the lines from his memory, one should learn to give the gains and victory to others and learn to accept loss and defeat to oneself.
Tati pe jikting ke shawal pe kida ke shenke ta jikting shawal zo zong ke tenzo ke de ko be na ki kabuyers.
Now, people who are really oriented very strongly in a worldly way of thinking and who are really stuck with worldly attitudes and thinking, I think that kind of thinking of Kadampa masters really is kind of baffling for them. They would find it really hard even to consider that very idea, giving victory and gains to others and accepting loss and defeat to oneself.
Ta chue chamata mune toni chue hin tangwane chue dongki ji na ta ting aran so laje chimbu ji chago yores.
But those who really deeply believe in the values of Dharma or the spirituality, and if we would like to cultivate those such deep spiritual values, then what the Kadampa Geshes have got to say really is an amazing instruction and advice to us.
Sometimes that tendency, some the time being ane senji yen rang never share zan the zawani never you can reach in zawani stage mabji chagures.
So if we adopt that kind of a thinking and attitude, at least we try to give gains and victory to others and accept the loss and defeat to ourselves, then of course we are not going to do anything that is harmful to others.
That's senji condition shuri meba senji condition in that the turned they would the kibu milk turned that they do in some way in those talor chagu.
So to be able to have such a thinking instilled within our own within ourselves, we need to also understand that what is the essential part of that kind of thinking is that we cannot be biased towards sentient beings. We cannot discriminate among sentient beings as friends, relatives, and strangers, because everybody is important to us, and we wish to give victory and benefits to everybody that constitute others, and accept loss and defeat to ourselves.
That is something ane rang ta senji tenda kandi dugusena senji tanje ane kowi donghe janzo chembole drone tabe taba lana maybe compalen goet rang shegin samba chinos that the shegin samta some tangures.
So as a part of our spiritual training and practice, what we try to do is we develop genuinely the wish to help sentient beings to be free from the ocean of suffering and help them to be on the other side of this ocean of suffering, which would be the state of complete enlightenment, where there is no suffering of any kind at all, and where all kinds of qualities are realized.
That condition is not a general check, no sundua. On a lesson number of changes. So you have a long show to some computers only then. Between COVID solid dollars, that COVID solid datan and the German Scanner. That carry is an Aletamo is an ane Kore the pen of Sigana. Just you line a part, I like you comes and a part Drogo, a little tricky go to Vastambo.
So great Tibetan master Manjushri Lama Tsongkhapa or Jerumuche has made a very profound statement on the matter using certain examples or metaphors. And as Geshe quoted the stanza from his memory, so what that really tells us that, let's say metaphorically speaking, if we need to cross a body of water, we need a boat or we need a sail, to sail across the water or the ocean.
Engine that modern things in Yamaras, Jetson and Hema,
Of course, the example that's used in this kind of ancient teachings is a boat or a sail. We cannot really think in terms of what is today we found due to modern technological advancements, something run on a machine or motors. It's not that. It just it depends on the current of the wind. It depends on sail and there are things like that.
Judging Mambu Togores, 200 Google Sena, Turbata, Sambata, Gomba Sumbuti, the and it's so dominant to Kizogo.
So, in order to sail across the ocean of suffering, we need in a kind of boat or sail that has certain characteristics. Number one, that kind of a sail or a boat need to be built through what we call listening to teaching, contemplation, and meditation. In other words, teaching, contemplation, and meditation are the components to build a boat that can carry us across the ocean of suffering. So those three things are three essential elements of a boat to cross the ocean of suffering: listening to teaching, contemplation, and meditation.
That thing to detail and to the toll. That to was to damn. That to the pattern royaga, that long tone, they dog ben that changes on dog. Plus a number of tachins. That thing cargo is an to the pan royal, and look, Confucian dog, tell Anega Tarchambuji that the same do what they go to us.
And so we got the boat, but then we need to set up a sail or the banner that helps us to sail the boat. So the kind of sail or the banner we're talking about here that we can host on the boat is that of saksam, which means determination or special willpower.
No, that the Kolung to Pandushin, the Tensak, the rate soon, and the Karagu. That generally happen long to pay Jim Mashipaki, Truth Pandra is a balloon to Jim Mashipi go to us. Then 9 years, and generally happen by that. There was not a top of the Samba of Gombas Model. Generally happen maybe shake.
So now we got the boat that is made of listening, contemplation, and meditation. We got the sail or the banner hosted on the boat, because this boat is not run by the motors or some kind of modern gadget. So the kind of sail or the banner we are talking about here is that of special determination or willpower. And now we need something else to sail this boat, which depends on the current of the wind. And the wind that we're talking about is the wind of enthusiastic perseverance, or the enthusiastic effort. We call jundu in Tibetan. So we need to consistently apply enthusiastic effort into study or listening, contemplation, and meditation. Is that kind of a wind, the current of the wind, that helps to sail this boat across the ocean of suffering.
그때는 안에 템베 롱다 마잔다 롱다 참찬을 저 대양 참찬을 매아베시 든데시 샤베나 안에 주파를 바갈레아가 안에 두세 키라 카보라 봤어.
So the wind has to be very favorable and conducive wind. If the wind is kind of disruptive, or it has even become very, adverse conditioning factor, then we will face a lot of challenges on the way. Instead of getting across the ocean, we might, just go just opposite direction, or we might, get destroyed on the way. So the favorable wind is very important, which is to say that we have to apply consistently enthusiastic perseverance.
남길 딱히 야고 쓰는 토네들이 뭐요 그래서 가서는 봐들 이는데 딱이 제거를.
So it's just like, if somebody is going to go out on a sail, probably need to, look at the weather reports, is there going to be any tornadoes, any bad weather that's going to be there, because those all are important, to be able to do the sailing. So in the same way, we have to really watch out for the adverse conditions so that we don't bump into them.
long 가서도 넣었으나 팔레도시는 양 마 달러 제네미게 마 레스 파 말레시 땡 가서 왔어. 당이 총에서 팔 레드니 차그로 왔더니 시주아 말했다.
So we may have a favorable wind to sail, and let's say we are really sailing well to, in the right direction where we want to go. But as we are closing up on the goal, there could be very adverse wind blowing or the disruptive wind that can turn the sail completely in the opposite direction, and we might not reach our destination.
근데 먼저 나랑 저 최식이 알아봤어. 최식해야 돼. 최신 들어가지 다
So the point I'm trying to make here is that we are all interested in cultivating spirituality and do the practice, but have to make sure that what we are practicing is is, as a matter of fact, spirituality and dharma. In other words, that if we have to make sure that what we are practicing, as a matter of fact, is spiritual and dharma, that it is not, becoming something else.
랑데 최시에 다 그래다. 근데 근데 특선도特别的 삼바 공비 주대. 아니 농수 그 맛봐야겠다. 근데 그거라서 바치 첨부인데 뭐야겠다. 말음 짜고서 아니 산지 내 권산의 권유선을 소왔대 뒤따더니 제거랬어.
So as a part of our practice, everyday practice, we need to earnestly pray to Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and also dedicate our merit, in a way that we're able to protect this boat of listening, contemplation, and meditation, so that we have a smooth sailing towards the destination that we would like to go, and we don't face any disruptive, wind on the way that could affect our sailing.
안에 랑글로도 최선도와데 최람는도와 랑라 바체메 바단 레지 숨도와 랑글로 최선도와지 아니 최람는도와 최람드발 바체메 바단이 용어 효선 아니 수자와세데 제베스나 mendushani konchusunle sowatte gures.
So we really need to make earnest prayers and dedication of our virtue to the three jewels or three ratnas, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and seek their blessings and inspirations so that we are able to direct our mind into Dharma or spirituality. In other words, that we are able to succeed in transforming our mind through spirituality. Our mind is into spirituality, so that we are able to succeed in transforming the spirituality in the spiritual path within ourselves, so that we don't face any obstacles on the way to complete the spiritual path or the journey towards our destination. So for all such successes, we need to seek the blessings and inspirations from gurus and the three jewels, and also dedicate our virtue towards that end.
That pache the church drunken the church country in the number of doing the telepache mount you.
We have to remember that as we become more sort of sincere in our spiritual engagement and practice, we may encounter more disruptions and obstacles. The Tibetan term is called parche, which literally means interruptions, but it could mean disruptions and obstacles.
Parche said the Kuma de Jivares. Kuma ni Kuman Rosa de ni Juchala Yosakin Dogre Mato Pango Kuman Dogmarva in 9 years.
Obstacles, come to those, who. Let me use this example. Obstacles are just like thieves and robbers, and who do they rob? They go and rob, the rich people. They don't go to the beggars because they're not going to get anything. So, like that, obstacles come to those who are sincerely engaged in, spiritual cultivation and practice.
No, so that they somebody young and so lozong gone, Jing Lam Honke, Gomtejurs, yeah.
So, as we face, obstacles on our way, by doing our practice sincerely, we could also adopt, certain techniques or the methods to deal with them. For example, in the Lojong practice, thought transformation or mind training practice, there's a technique mentioned of how can we transform adverse factors or the conditions into favorable factors to boost one's spiritual practice.
Kadampa hit in any Pache Tongi, so never correction, never tongue in a never telemas donkeys. Never matter as any the Japanese Shiguamare. Never got it down in a tongues, any sunguaris. The carriers and any never got a mouse and the ticket, so say any sanctum, some towny, children, jump a children.
In the case of great Kadampa Geshes and the masters, as they face more obstacles, as they dedicate themselves more into practice, they face more obstacles, they really adopt the welcoming attitude. As if they are telling the obstacles and the harmful agents, just come along, just you're welcome, just come on. They really don't do prayers and plead them, please leave me alone and go away and do all kinds of prayers to kind of ward them off. But they're just very welcoming, And they kind of realize that by facing these challenges, they develop their strength and courage and vigor. And so therefore it's very helpful to building their spiritual character and spiritual development. And they're very welcoming, and they don't do prayers or plead and say, please go away and do such things.
Ani Shawangame Lejawang Himbata, so Yang and Dungisan Dego Yamare. Tell Annie Petai, the Cassishum and the Shawangama laying and stuff in David Tagare, somebody Taba show somebody. Ani Randa Yambe, any Hinda Zula can reach you and Zuka turned out and 80 turned Narandi Tony, Consola, Carasagura, Consul any young way at the Susu Tola, Yamba somebody, Tolling him. So the point I'm trying to make here is that Kadampa Geshes are very courageous and adopt welcoming attitudes towards obstacles, as if they're telling them just bring it on. Okay, and so why? Because they have this deep understanding of how things are related to one's own karma and purification of karma. Like when we face obstacles and difficulties, we really don't have to, let ourselves down and agonize over it and feel distressed and helpless. But we can really think in a very positive sense that, all these things I'm facing are the outcomes of negative karmas that I myself have accumulated sometime in the past. So by facing these difficulties and by the experience of these difficulties, something good is happening, because I don't have to suffer those karmas again. Because
through the experience of these difficulties, those negative karmas get purified. And moreover, if we adopt the very kind of how to say high the altruistic ideals of Tonglen practice, the practice of giving and taking. That is, you said, okay, by my experience of this difficulty and suffering, I'm sure that other people and beings, going through the same suffering or may go through the same suffering. By my experience of these difficulties, may others do not have to experience their bad karmas. May this be the one and the only one, that helps us to be free from all the negativities. With that kind of altruistic attitude, people can do Tonglen practice, the Bodhisattva's practice, and face the difficulties with courage and with understanding.
다 단다 쫀투나 쫀 단다 마투네 다 레가 간디지 쫀 생기 이게 간디지 문제들이 간디지 쫀나 띠랑게 베세 토야지 요마 효삼바 좀 하나미 지잔 생고르스.
So, we need to develop that kind of a courage and that kind of a perspective as we encounter more and more obstacles, as we dedicate more and more into spiritual cultivation and path. And as a part of our mind training, as I said before, is that really we wish everybody to be free from their suffering. By everybody, we literally mean everybody, including those who usually we see as enemies. When they have suffering, we really try to genuinely wish them to be free from the suffering. If there's something we can do to help others to be free from suffering, we should do that. But there are many ways that we may not be able to do anything much right now, but at least we sincerely say our prayers and send our positive thoughts, wishing that we could do something to free them from the state of suffering. So that's how we, cultivate spirituality.
Yes, okay. Dar kending doa. Rang lui la pel on la yen la pas machis.
No.
Ye rang never says no government doa. So that this rang heba sene rang yen never says yamaris.
So as we have a very meaningful saying that taking your body as an example, don't hurt others. Okay, so if we take our personal experience as an example, then we can see that what other people don't want either. Do we want other people to wish us suffer? No, we don't. If we did do that, we don't like it. So do you think that if we wish others to be unhappy and suffer, they would like us? No. See, because it's the same. If there's something we don't want suffering, we don't want others to wish us suffer, in the same way others don't wish us to wish them suffer, and it's the same thing. So based upon our own personal experiences, we can understand what others want or don't want.
No, something that I did around someone local. Marana Jesu Tahana Yegi. 참말로 다 신경전에 계셨던 것이 신경전에 사바던들 penchasing Cubans.
So that is my kind of a usual sort of I take a time at the beginning of the teaching to talk about things which I feel are really important to all of us, including myself. Those of us who know these things, this is more like a reminder, friendly reminder to consider these matters. But those who are new to this kind of information or teaching, then you are getting a new information and learning. So with that being said, now I'm going to go back to where we left off in this wonderful text called Miscellaneous Collection of Kadampa Geshes' Personal Advices. So the important points, I have tried to make here is that of self and others, we should learn to regard others as more important than self. Of this life and future lives, we should regard future lives as more important than this life. Of worldly activities and spiritual activities, of spirituality, we should regard spirituality as more important than, worldly activity. So there are many things that we could right now put into practice, and we should try to do that. But there are many we cannot do now, but at least, we keep on thinking that, hopefully that, sooner than later in the future, we are able to put such things into practice, or at least we wish strongly that may we be able to do the practice we couldn't do now in, sometime soon.
Start and do it. That cousin, the Junse Mabushin do what they. When that young Jitina never share away pain over Japanese. That Nanju Karina, that Nanju Tamaba Tanzul, any me ging any run Pembataba, never show me a curry, Japan Zingers, Pentabatan, Japan Z, Neshibata Yavadogrovas.
So as we were going through, some of the advices given by great Kadampa Geshe Chengawa, and he was telling us how we should adopt certain attitudes and behaviors which run contrary to or opposite to worldly attitudes and behavior. So we talked a number of those things, but one of the things he tells us here is that when we look at ordinary worldly people, what they seem to be doing is that they care for people who are benefiting them, and they ignore and maybe even look down on those who harm them.
Ta karresena nanju enita never singe the Japan Zian telepe karsegulta Japan Zine Gaboshita Ksin do ane Aneta Kibuti Karse Pentang the one of Juche Karresena se Jitena paint chewsta, Marana paint, Jitena paint tangi Pamata, Pamali paint that paint tangi chewa. Sansi Gunsina Pamali paint that chewa me Yamaras.
So now what we need to do is we have to learn to do just the opposite. That means we need to learn to cherish those who harm us more than those who benefit us or help us. And so the first example given here is in terms of like a benefit. For example, when we think in terms of how much care is given to us or provided to us even materially, and it's hard to think anybody who has done so much for us than our parents. Parents have been very caring and beneficial to us as their children.
Ane tap putan kanina ta chumala so ta ane yul trabata kar kamba trabata stay the you ta the shoot ta chuma the tengala so ba botes ta tenzo ko pangal pe ta to sigur was the ante chin kyo the tena they never chwa ya mares.
So when we think in an ordinary way, our parents have been the most kind, if not the most kind people to us as children, their children, but among the most kind people, because they have nurtured us, they have provided every care for our needs, and through the different stages of life, and they have helped to say maybe they have provided us all the material needs, maybe they arranged us for our marriages and weddings, maybe they bought houses for us, maybe they give us jewelries. Well, they have done everything they could, to provide all such comforts and needs, our needs.
Never Jim Batenzo, tak social can't go but Tabatenzo. The solar tennis, later Yama Shagers, lay Yamo Shagers, Yamonga Wanka less Agarish.
So in an ordinary sense that these things are all considered beneficial and good. Parents have nurtured us, they have raised us, they got us married, or got us start our life. Maybe they bought us house, they bought us jewelry, they fixed us with others, whatever. All these things happen. But from a spirituality point of view, all these things is not necessarily positive and good, because of all these things. We have also got entangled in delusions, and under the influence of delusions, we also create a lot of, negative karmas. So one wonders, how could all those things be, give rise to delusions in us? Because all those things, in relation to those things, we get very much attached to things or people, or that we become very jealous of each other, and we get angry with others, and all these delusions, arise with regard to the things that parents have done to us.
Nyumola teni lesa le teni ta le ngaba science ani ane ra dunghe nyawa to nyidala so dunghe yongu hares.
So under the influence of delusions such as attachment, anger, jealousy, you just name it, then we end up creating a lot of negative karmas, which could precipitate, our rebirth in unfortunate states, or they bring us a lot of trouble and problem in this life as well.
No, that tendrik sounds that ran le let's say kimbushi.
So ordinarily speaking, those things, what parents have done could be considered good and beneficial. But from another perspective, from purely spiritual point of view, a lot of these things have become objects for conditioning for delusions and negativities. And from that point of view, maybe what they have done to us is not necessarily good. Maybe it is harmful.
That indeed, that train ran tanky tenzil that. Ane tenzil ane chendele pen taya zone of that. Tanang de Vita, then type zone of Tongu was Yena and Nampula ane Dungili Jack was. So then Tindi ane Pama Tringili, Derricha Mason Taka cover.
So, from another perspective, well, in this life, of course, it all looks good, right? I mean, they give us everything. They give us house. They give us, material resources and all things. So it seems like everything is good. What is bad about that? But from another point of view, perspective, spiritual, maybe we get stuck with all of those things. We get very emotional, attached, and, disturbed in so many ways. Maybe under those influences, we create a lot of bad karma. So then now, you see, it is a different picture that is appearing, and from that point of view, maybe they have conditioned. They didn't mean to or intentionally, but in reality, maybe they have provided a condition for our delusions and negativities, which means it's not good.
Oh, yes. That is never show a difference in that. Never show the difference in that you can take categories. That they have over is.
Yes. So now the thing we need to talk about is, what is good about cherishing those who harm us?
They never share a ten and is Zabagom in the was Zabagom years. That was trade only Chimbush Zabagom Korish. And is Zabagom the Nansun same about Togris.
But what is good about learning to cherish those who harm us is that it is through their challenges that we get the opportunity to cultivate patience or tolerance. When we practice patience or tolerance, Zoba, it generates tremendous merit or positive energy. So that's a good thing.
That indicates Zoba Gomni, good, but June upon those Gombina, and they constantly say it on your dull Lambina, and that Zoba Gom to what you go.
So if we keep on cultivating patience, as others, continuously, if you will, harm us or hurt us, once we really grow in our patience, we might reach a point where we have grown so much in patience that even if the whole world turns into our enemy, we can still withstand it, and we can be very patient with them. Let me quote from Guru Puja or Lama Cheba, and Geshe quoted the stanza from his memory, which basically says that even if the three world systems, beings in the three world systems, now we're not just talking about this world, three realms of existence, if everybody in the three realms of existence were to become angry with me and my enemy, okay, that's even if, and they're so angry, they started to beat me, they started to blame me, they started to abuse me, and they started to say the nastiest of things that one possibly could say. May I be able to remain in a state of patience, not retaliating against them who are trying to disturb my mind, and through such cultivation, may I be able to able to grow, able to accomplish the perfection of patience or tolerance.
That thing, the nation at the Tambo Chunju Tony and do somebody mato, hope to get the new Yamars.
Of course, to be able to gain perfection in patience, we have to start from little and small things, right? We cannot expect right from gecko be perfected in patience. We have to start cultivating patience with little, disturbing stuff and things, and slowly, through cultivating patience, we are able to gain perfection in patience.
So perfection of patience is very ideal that we cannot realize from the day one. We started off from the ground up, so to speak, and we started with our family members, try to be patient with our family members, try to be patient with our several friends, with our boyfriends and girlfriends or the life partners, try to be patient with our neighbors, and that way, slowly we extend the scope of patience or tolerance to include more and more beings, and that's how we achieve perfection of patience or tolerance. So we should be able to withstand difficulties and challenges and obstacles and cultivate patience. Now, ordinary people or worldly people, they seek happiness but not suffering.
That dunge de kepran zin shene dunge le shungna gawa shene dewa te chang te kerchuna mashuna ta be de chiga mara karse tang lang go yamaris.
Now, to be able to become a spiritual practitioner, we need to learn to welcome suffering and don't get too much, don't make a big deal about happiness or get stuck with it. Yeah, happiness is something, if that comes, it's wonderful. If it doesn't come, no big deal. Don't get bogged down by not getting happiness, but we should be just welcoming suffering.
동해 깨버린 지니 동해 순두전에 때 가고 싶어야 가르레스 다 준비지 하고 그러바스.
So why should we be welcoming, suffering or cherish suffering? Are there any good reasons?
다 대화 당도는데 전에 이 냐위 대화당. 냐위 대화당. 아래다 이 냐위 대화당. 아니 특별 대화당. 저것은 특별 대화당. 레레 대화다. 레로신 배 안장 반자신 대야돼. 레레 대화당. 아니 그다. 그 야고 거는 배 그 아니 가세 경보선 드네 너 드네 레다 차그러 왔어. 드들 제번 증거로 왔어.
So the kind of happiness we're talking about here is a very ordinary way of understanding happiness. The kind of happiness we seek from a variety of things, like happiness, a pleasure that comes from sleeping. You just want to sleep, or happiness or some kind of pleasure coming from sex. Or from laziness, just not doing anything, just kind of a hangout, out. And happiness or pleasure coming from eating, or from buying stuff, or wearing some clothes, or some, that we want. So this is what usually ordinary people are kind of, caught up with. We are seeking the happiness or pleasure from these stuff.
Says that it's a Tamano was a very say I doing that Tamano. Good Colonia Sanders and Jamjet to the Lava solution and the Shego was.
And so we are very particular about what we eat, and we go to the food, and we even not only want the food is there, but we want everything to be good, the smell. So there are people who started to smell the food before they started to eat. Or we go to buy clothes. We want to feel the texture of the materials. We want to go and try the clothes. And all those things we do.
That telling and to Gabushigger, that tele, and the donation of Gabushing Yahoyaris.
So we really love doing this stuff and spend so much time doing these things, and we, don't wish for any kind of suffering, but we have to learn to welcome suffering. We have an understanding of what suffering we are talking about, We are not saying that, we welcome every kind of suffering. What we are saying is that as we dedicate ourselves into the study and practice of Dharma, then we might suffer. We might face difficulties. So those are the suffering and difficulties we need to be welcoming and cherish.
Gendi shawashebar dunhayatang. Antagana yegi ane ta memanke me gendala rockbashin tunik dunhayat tunzu tangdalanta.
So the difficulties and challenges of suffering we face in helping other people, as we do, things, activities for other people, we may face a lot of challenges, and we put up with those challenges and cherish them.
Gendich lechi desan dungi ngutatel dangleshi. Seki gele robashi desan bungi ta call penda ya kada. Pendo ya ka ani dungi shumta te zabashi.
So helping others is not always necessarily, easy, and so oftentimes we face challenges and difficulties to benefit and work for and help others. So such are the challenges that we need to put up with and cherish.
다야 주름지 가도 주동해세. 주름 소야를 안에 갈리 카보든이 여러 근데 안에 동해들이 연구도나 당도 라니 드셔버셔. 빼나 효내 손들 전에 안에 뒤지마도 세사야마 단들이 드셔버셔. 저거 또 동해 연구 드셔버셔.
And the kind of difficulties and suffering and pain that we encounter as we do certain practice, particularly the practice of ethics. For example, we do the fasting retreat or the Nyungne practice, right? So we are only supposed to eat once a day, and so we could get very hungry, and that's painful. But we try to cherish that pain and hunger.
다다가나 이게 아니 소수의 아니 베게 담직dom도 송고야 던줄레니 갈리 카고도나 때 잡아신 송.
So challenges and difficulties that we face in observing our vows and commitments, we cherish those difficulties.
다 최소네 랑그 류당 나다 그용을 데 고숨 비주 간이 셔발 아니 때리 동해 연구도 어떤 잡아셔나 아니 잡아셔 그랬어.
And the pain or difficulties we may experience as we try to modify our actions of body, speech, and mind in accordance with Dharma. When we try to practice Dharma and try to change our actions of body, speech, and mind, we may face pain and difficulties, but we try to put up with them.
다 최최 전에 말아서 주는거 되는 빈번도 나 드리체가 tells the same thing 거 동해들 잡으신 배 최대 양 답으신 되고요.
For example, that as we sit for a long time listening to teaching and doing practice, we may feel pain in the knees, but we got to learn to appreciate that and put up with that.
니 그것도 니 막고 버시는 배 서서서서서시네. And if
we're starting to, doze up during the teachings and practice, we need to kind of wake ourselves up and stay alert. And of course, I am talking about these things with certain experiences of, having studied in monasteries, and we have to go to a lot of long sessions of prayers and debate and all sort of things. So not always necessarily, happy and it's a lot of things you have to put up with, but we did it very happily and gladly.
Okay. That initial Deva Chimbi, Rang Dunga down to Deva Chimbi, take compound Togumas.
Because when we keep, our goal clearly in our mind, by doing this, what we are trying to achieve, the goal, then I think it really gives us the inspiration and strength.
The Dunga down the line being Jabu, Karazana, Deva Chimbi compound, Totuk Deva Chimbo Togumas.
So by facing a lot of temporary difficulties and pain and suffering, we are able to work towards and attain, ultimate kind of happiness.
Rang Lula Nasatan, Saint Dungela Shumbayina, and the Rana Koala in Jusia, that Trochimbu Chaguris.
So as we bump into a lot of problems and suffering, actually that should really give us a lot of teaching that, samsara is not a happy place to be. Because this is what we end up, doing all the time. So then that should help us to develop aversion to the misery in samsara, which is called renunciation. So now we learn to renounce samsaric world and suffering.
Ran Dungeta Mendebri condition in a Tandita colonies and Tishabre, that quantity matan, Mendu, Sanipe, that quality in Jusiating about the Santonguris.
So as we encounter problems and pain, that should remind us that, what? Now this basically means that, I really need to make effort to get myself out of samsara. If I keep on going, this is what I will keep on experiencing or even more.
Don't let you sing songs. Dalai didn't take Japanese.
No, come to show it.
Then they heard that, then can you Karimba?
Midday, Ronchida never need walking.
Or there's a Masida, Temare. They are rating in that, a little under take Japanese. The Jaguar caress, then it is a Kamakais, the Takamachu session do. They ring all at that. Anita Pug, no, Tishane. memang ke kembe shi jan jami ke tal no karse tane shene te memang say keris misse ba ta se amares te tanda ne ti computer te nale misse rotan jole menda ka ba jam te samal ta ji dos ja ha ko ye res so za tande ke che do atren ta halam jambi ling nale kanga ki ta bebeni su hinge te samal lo ke 동생 냠셰 그 아니 기 드링 니메 건탁 최시고에서래 알리 나란소 때 따라 교회 알리 데스랭갈 때니 최시기니스 만정 제가마 최시랭갈
다들 디캠주 쉐딩 디슈드 랍션 되고 말아
다 알리 팅한 등가 저 페바스
디슈드 라 So we're going to stop there today a little bit early, and I have an announcement, a request to make that as you know what has been happening everywhere in Tibet, and there have been spontaneous outbursts of peaceful demonstrations throughout the land of Tibet, and so many people have been killed, gunned down by the communist regime. And we are just not saying it just like that, but many of you have access to the internet. Probably you might have access, at least we have a certain number of dead bodies, pictures posted on the internet, and you could see they have been documented, where the bullets have been, shot into them, and so thousands have been injured and thousands have been detained and tortured, and so we I think today is a day across the world Tibetans and supporters are all thinking about those who died in Tibet, those who have been injured and those who are suffering, and say their prayers or dedicate their prayers and peace for them. And I thought it would be nice if we all participate in the same thing here and spend about the remaining time to do some prayers. And then I have received few prayer requests. A prayer has been requested for Daniel Wong, who passed away, and prayer has been requested for Vardina Orico and Janet Harkit, who have been dealing with health issues. And I think Anala has some announcements too.
You're lost. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay.
So we'll read His Holiness the Dalai Lama's long life prayer. Other announcements? Okay. Announcements, Jilla. Okay. So we'll say the prayer of truth that His Holiness the Dalai Lama composed. I think yeah. Okay. Tenzin, maybe you can say the prayer of truth, and then afterwards I'll read the Dalai Lama's prayer.
Okay. Tenzin.
Okay.
This one. Then kundu captain is kundu captain the kundu inchi told the word. This is any answer the dancing man like the huling as a man. The kundu captain Maguashi dancing corridor say dancing man like as a particular told them is. La. Nearly dancing man of the dish with the condition. Ali Tambo managed the river. I think you'll any dancing malata. Kundu chatting kundu inchi told them.
That's what we're going to do for the remaining time. That first we will together recite Om Mani Padme Hum, the 6-syllable mantra of Chenre Sikh Arya Avalokiteshvara. And then we will do one stanza long life prayer in Tibetan for His Holiness, and we will do the prayer of truth in Tibetan. I believe it's not in English with you. And then after that, you will do His Holiness long life prayer in English.
Shadong Gole Jeve Jabuton, Shelo Gavos, Sanjeton, Kala Kandu, Tela, Tetemba, Jumba Shere, Sana, Shatselo, Omanave,
Okay, so we'll recite His Holiness the Dalai Lama's long life prayer. O our gurus and your line of lamas, for whom we have the deepest gratitude, you who are the repository of the three secret powers of body, speech, and mind, of innumerable Buddhas, who manifest in a miraculous way to each devotee according to his capacity, to you who are the wish-fulfilling gems, the source of all virtues and good qualities, we offer our prayers with intense devotion that our protector of the great land of snows, Tenzin Gyeltsen, upholder of the Dharma, the great ocean, may live for 100 eons, pour on him your blessings, that his aspirations may be fulfilled. The Dharmadhatu, the inexpressible reality which pervades all things like the heavens, immaculate, full of the great bliss and transcendental wisdom, manifests like a cloud the numberless abodes of the higher divinities, the mandalas of the heavenly beings, the divine ones, the yidams. We offer our prayers with intense devotion that Tenzin Gyeltsen, protector of the great land of snows, may live for 100 eons. Pour in him your blessings, that his aspirations may be fulfilled. O you numberless Buddhas of the past, present, and future, who are the masters of the 10 powers and the teachers of the gods, whose attributes of perfection, free from defilements and born of realization, are the source of the Buddha activity, which appears for all time in the ocean of the suffering of the world, for the sake of all sentient beings. To you we offer our prayers with intense devotion, that Tenzin Gyeltsen, protector of the great land of snows, may live for 100 eons. His aspirations may be fulfilled. O sacred dharmas of the 3 yanas, which liberate us from the sufferings of the 3 worlds, supremely calm, the jewel treasure of the fully enlightened ones, without impurities, unchanging, eternally good, the peak of virtues, to you we offer our prayers with intense devotion, that Tenzin Gyeltsen, protector of the great land of snows, may live for 100 eons. Pour on him your blessings, that his aspirations may be fulfilled. Awakened and unsullied, a fire traveler in conquering the suffering of the wheel of life, with the transcendental wisdom that directly intuits the deeper truth, never departing from the indestructible Vajra abode of nirvana. To you we offer our prayers with intense devotion, that Tenzin Gyeltsen, protector of the great land of snows, may live for 100 eons. Pour on him your blessings, that his aspirations may be fulfilled. O you Dakas and Dakinis, heavenly beings of the 3 worlds, who appear in the highest paradises, the sacred places, the cremation grounds, who have innumerable experiences of the bliss of the void, supporting the yogis in their meditation on the excellent path. To you all we offer our prayers with intense devotion, that Tenzin Gyeltsen, protector of the great land of snows, may live for 100 eons. Pour on him your blessings, that his aspirations may be fulfilled. To the ocean of the guardians of the teaching, who possess the eye of transcendental wisdom, carrying on their matted locks the knot symbolic of the vows they made to the Vajradhara Buddha, the powerful ones who protect the teaching and the upholders of the Dharma, we offer you our prayers with intense devotion, that Tenzin Gyeltsen, protector of the great land of snows, may live for 100 eons. Pour on him your blessings, that his aspirations may be fulfilled. To all you guileless ones, in whom we take the excellent refuge, we pray with intense devotion, humbly from our very heart, that by the Noang Lobsang Tenzin Gyeltsen, he who has power over speech, the kindly one, upholder of the Dharma, the great ocean, he who possesses the 3 secret powers, may be indestructible, eternal, and without end, that seated on the supreme unconquerable throne of the Vajra, he may live for 100 eons. Pour on him your blessings, that his aspirations may be fulfilled. You who bear the burdens of innumerable Buddhas, with courage carrying on your shoulders the vast activities of the fully enlightened ones, working for the good of all beings, like the wish-fulfilling jewel, the jewel of jewels, may your aspirations be perfectly. By virtue of this, may the golden era be opened, like a gate to the great spaces, liberating all sentient beings, coming as the happiness of spring, which comforts our sorrows and helps the teaching of the Buddha to spread in all directions and in all ages, making it prosper to the summit of samsara and nirvana. O you with the lotus in your hand, may the nectar stream of your blessings strengthen our mind and bring it to maturity. May we be able to please you by practicing the Dharma. Through accomplishing at all times the good deeds of the bodhisattvas, may we reach nirvana. By the blessings of the wondrous Buddhas and bodhisattvas, by the unassailable truth of the spiritual laws of cause and effect, by the unstained power of the pure mind, may the aim of my prayers soon be accomplished. So today is International Prayer Day, and if we could, Annie, could we also say Geshe-la's Long Life Prayer? No. Not today, but it's International Prayer Day. Okay, I'm being overruled. But we'll say our own prayers for Geshe-la's long life as well. I have a couple of announcements. Next week we'll be doing the 24-hour Mahayana precepts, and I think with the sun getting longer days that we should start probably at 5:30. Is that going to be enough? People who watch the sunrise? We should start before dawn. Is 5:30 going to be enough? Yeah? Okay, so we're going to start at 5:30 on Sunday morning, and we take 8 precepts together. And I guess the biggest concern for most people in the vows is not eating only one meal that day. Okay, so we'll be doing prostrations and vows and meditation until class starts at 10:30. And then people can break their fast on the morning of the next day. You can't hear me? Yeah, I guess you have to open the door. David, can you open the door behind you there, please? Thank you. Okay, so since it is International Prayer Day and people are saying prayers around the world, you can continue your own prayers at home as well, and maybe this evening before you go to bed. Let's see. So in 2 weeks, we're going to have another community gathering with Mr. Tenzin Gyeltsen, and he is an elected American representative to the Tibetan Parliament in exile. He's a young Tibetan man who, he was born in 1967, but that will be 2 Sundays from now at 1:30 p.m. So you can plan your day. Geshe-la will give class as usual, and you can go for a quick lunch. Then at 1:30, Tenzin will come and speak, and the title of his talk is Crisis in Tibet. So he's the representative both for Canada and the U.S. So he'll be here on that day. There are flyers out in the hall if you want to keep one or let others know about it. There is a huge event in San Francisco, I believe on the 8th. Is it Tuesday? 8th and 9th. So there are 2 young Tibetan men here at Thupten Dargye who would like to go to the event. The bus that was taking people up is completely full. So if anyone is going who can has room for 2 more people to go up and come down right after the event, please let me know. Okay? They would really like to go to the event. And let's see. Then Venerable Tartso and I just came back from India, and we were at teachings with His Holiness the Dalai Lama for several days. And during the event, some of the people asked His Holiness about what we can do to help. And what formed out of that was a group called the Concerned Scholars for Peace. And we are working on that. Tartso is working on a video, and also they just established a website, and Christian's helping too. Thank you. But I'm also working with a lobbyist and translator from the United Nations and some other scholars, and we are preparing letters to send to every head of state around the world. So I'm going to need assistance from a couple or 3 people who have really good handwriting, because the envelopes need to be hand addressed. So if anyone wants to help me with that, that would be appreciated. It hasn't started yet because we're still gathering the names of scholars around the world. And then, let's see, if anyone wants to offer any monetary help as well with the postage and stationery, it gets pretty complicated, that would also be appreciated. Okay, so I think that's it. Any questions? Okay,
okay, Anna. Tenzin
Login.
당은 좀 편함지. 다 많이 들이다. 말아서 최진시비 계획이 잡으라 때문에 애네 산지 때문에 뭐다 저기는 대진아. 까망아 그러니까 좀 아끼시네 간도.
Tadiru okay. Right.
The alitis the Sultan Gyeltsen songs.
Before we do our usual dedication of the merit from the teaching, I would like to ask everybody, we keep, silence for 5 minutes, and during this time, we can mentally do our prayers and dedication of merit for peace.
나랑 최진시비 계획이 잡으라 때문에 안에 산지 때문에 뭐다 저기는 내봐다. 저의 기능이 저기 땡지시비 담만을 고생 샤베 때마다 도진들도 매밀도 용하다. 안에 최종경 쇼 부모는 춘디 샤원은 이전은 줘봐다. 기딘지 감데다 현대면 팀이 좋다다 현이 뒤질로 좋다다 매밀도 용하쇼.
Let's dedicate collective merit for the flourishing of Dharma, the source of benefits and happiness throughout the universe. May His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all other holy masters live long and be successful, fulfilling their visions benefiting sentient beings. May spiritual communities throughout the world and spiritual practitioners from all traditions remain healthy, harmonious, and be successful in fulfilling their spiritual aspirations. May this and other world environments be free of all kinds of unwanted pains and problems, and beings find peace, happiness, prosperity, and spirituality. In short, we dedicate our merit for all kind mother sentient beings to be free from the fears and dangers of delusions and obscuration to omniscient wisdom, and may we all become Buddhas soon.
Sancho Simcho Rinpoche, Maje Bana Shejurji, Sheva Nyamba Meva Dam, Pone Kondo Pewa, Sho Tony Tawa Rinpoche, Maje Bana Shejurji, Sheva Nyamba Meva Dam, Pone Kondo Pewa, Sho Kare Ravi Korve Shingate, Peda Deva Malu Juvene, Shere Sewa Tenze Jato Ye, Shabe Sende Bado Tenyo Nye, Sa Ye Beje Shuje Medo Chama Rero Ninje Ninde Kembande, Sanje Gendo Mete Buwa Ye, Nanda Jina Shubara Sho Idam Guru Rena Mandela Niya Daya Amen. Honor Dindila. Thank you. Honors. Yeah, can do me though.
That's me again.
Honors.